good to be before you again. It's good to have the guests that we have in amongst us. Though actually, we don't consider her to be much of a guest. She's just a long-lost daughter that comes to visit every now and then. And we're certainly glad of that. Tonight I want to speak on something that here in the U.S. has become a big game. It's almost like girlfriend, boyfriend. I don't like you today, so I'm going to find somebody else. Well, I don't like you, and it's the next day, so I'm finding somebody else again. And that's marriage. Marriage is to be held in honor. It's not a game. You don't try on 3 or 4 different partners before you decide to settle down. You don't tie the knot and then just throw it aside as though it were nothing. Marriage is sanctioned by God and given to us. From the very beginning, there was a man and a woman. And this horrible abomination that we got going on in this nation now about same-sex marriage, that's not sanctioned by God, it's condemned. Anybody that wants to support it is condemned. Anybody that participates in it is condemned. You've set yourselves at odds with God when you play with the things that He has set down as being okay, sanctioned by Him, put into place by Him. We live in a nation that is taking a view of marriage as a lesser state than it is. They don't see it as an honorable state. More and more people are living together. In the job that I have, I'm amazed, I'm shocked, I'm stunned at the amount of people that are living together and think it's okay. And it's not, what amazes me and stuns me and shocks me, is it's not just the young people that are doing it. We've got people that are my age and older who see nothing wrong with it. Living together is incorrect in God's eyes. They think that living together is the way to go rather than being married. It is something less than honorable in their eyes. Many view it as something to be thrown around, something to be shunned. Don't get married. Stay out of marriage. Leave it alone. Many believe that it is just fine to live together first before marriage so that they can make sure that they're compatible. I know of people who have lived together for a number of years who tie the knot and get married, and then within just a few years or end up in divorce. Well, now, how's that compatibility working out for you? That really did good, didn't it? Now you got kids involved. Boy, you've really thickened the pot now. That's not the way God meant for it to be. You don't live together to see if you are compatible. It will not gain you a blissful state, harmonious state that is desired by people. If it isn't found, then a lot of them are like, whew, at least we didn't tie the knot. How terrible. At least we didn't get married. Then they move on again, as I said earlier, to the next person. And everything's okay. They fail to see, and these people who jump out of their marriage to go after someone else fail to see that, you're taking that baggage with you and you bring it right on over to the new one. And in the belief of, well, I'm not worried about the kids. They're still young. They'll get over it. No, they weren't. We have a whole nation full of what used to be young people who haven't gotten over it. Your influence on them has carried over into their lives. Yes, there are those who jump in and out of marriage, like changing of socks, changing of their clothing. None of these are honorable, and they should be avoided, this type of lifestyle. Marriage is honorable if it is entered into by two people who are correct. They enter into it correctly. Hebrews 13:4 says, "Let marriage be had in honor among all, and let the bed be undefiled." Yes, for the young people, enter into your marriage pure. For those who are entering into another marriage, second marriage, enter into it pure. The death of the mate, the former mate, enters into the marriage pure. I've had some say, well, now wait a minute. Doesn't it also say adultery is a reason for a divorce? Yes, adultery, fornication, slipping out on your marriage can get you into a situation where the other person has the option of getting out of the marriage because they can no longer trust you. But you're bound to the marriage. You're stuck. You're the one who messed up. Marriage is honorable. Divorce cannot be entered into for just any reason. My wife and I are fixing to celebrate 42 years of marriage. I'd like to say 42 years of bliss, but then she'd tell me about it when I got home. But marriage must be worked at. And no, it's not like they told me marriage is a 50-50 proposition. No, it's not. Marriage is 110 and 110. And when you get to the point where you think, you know what, I'll have the best marriage ever if I can just get her to put in more than that 10%. Well, you know what, check with her, because you're liable to find she's thinking the same thing. Marriage is 110 and 110. It takes effort on both parts. It takes a lot of giving on both parts. To partake of any of the activities between two people, such as are reserved for marriage, before or outside of marriage, is to defile the bed. To partake of another outside of one's marriage is to dishonor the marriage. And no, these novels that are written about the little affair, what brings spice, brings life into my marriage. And then the other partner finds out about it. There went your spice, and there went your life. These kind of affairs are not romantic. They cause damage. They cause damage that can't get undone. This God will not overlook. Hebrews 13:4, the latter part of it, says, but fornicators and adulterers God will judge. Fornicators are those who engage in consensual sex or intercourse. This is between two persons not married to each other. And unfortunately, you got to throw homosexuality into that mix these days. What an abomination. Adulterers, that is the willful participation in a sexual unfaithful act, sexual unfaithfulness of a marriage or a married person. These cause damage even among the children. And what an influence you may be having on your children with this. Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." That could also be said, she who finds a husband finds a good thing. Matthew 19:5, "A man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." This is honorable. These things put forth today, these perversions, are not honorable. They're sickening. There was a time when marriage was an honorable state. It's not anymore. It's like a wheel of fortune. These such as living together before marriage, jumping in and out of marriage, having one outside of one's marriage, the mistress. Yes, even some sex marriages are dishonorable, such as this, and they do defile the bed. My grandparents lived well into their 90s. And you know, my grandmother still loved my granddad to the day she died. And he her to the day that he died. Divorce was unheard of, but just merely murmured, a whisper, because they knew what God had to say about it, and they upheld it. I heard one couple, and I won't mention their names, but I heard one couple one time make a statement because they were asked about how they did it, and they said they took divorce off the table. Divorce was never an option. The lesson is yours. If you have not become a Christian, you need to become a part of the Lord, a part of the Lord's church. You can't do that except for doing as what he has said, commanded to be done. John 6:45, you must hear and learn. John 8:24, you must believe. Luke 13:3 and 5, you must repent or perish. Matthew 10:32-33, you must confess Christ. You can't deny Christ and then expect him not to deny you. Baptism is commanded, Acts 10:48. It is for the remission of sins, Acts 2:38. And it does now save, 1 Peter 3:21. If there's any way that we are able to assist you, whether it be in a Bible study, whatever the need may be, if we can help you with it, please make it known as we stand and sing.